Welcome to this module on this structure of bone tissue. So, so far I have described the structure and properties of I have discussed the structure and properties of cell, bacteria, protein. So, not only the structure, but also certain characteristics which are of relevance to cell biology as well as biomaterial science that were discussed to a greater extent for all these three for all these three elements, that is cell, bacteria and protein. Now, there are these tissues tissues can be broadly classified into 4 categories. Now, these 4 categories it can be it is summarized in one of the earlier slides, which I would like to recall. So, this is the four broad 4 classes of tissues. One is epithelial tissue, second one is the connective tissue, third one is muscular tissue, fourth one is the nervous tissue. So, epithelial tissue provides protection and composed of very tightly spaced cells with characteristic shell shape. So, typically epithelial tissue cells, they are extremely tightly spaced. You remember, in the context of the cell signaling molecules or cell signaling processes, I have mentioned that how two tightly spaced cells, that if you apply the Fick's first law of diffusion, what is the total number of molecules that can be transported along these gap junctions, and that example was valid for the tightly spaced cells like in epithelial tissue. Second one is the connective tissue, that is that offer mechanical support, and bone and ligament are the most popular example of this connective tissue. And these connective tissues are made up of the essentially fibrous tissue, and here the cells are widely or physically widely separated from one another. However, they are dispersed, all the different type of cells, they are dispersed in extracellular matrix which has different composition. If you remember correctly, that extracellular matrix has collagen, elastin. Now, these two components, collagen and elastin, are responsible to give the specific elastic stiffness property to extracellular matrix. So, in different tissues, like whether it is epithelial, connective, muscular or nervous tissue, the extracellular matrix, their composition may vary in terms of that biological macromolecules, in terms of the fibrous collagenous protein or different types of collagenous protein and elastin. So, since their composition vary, the constituents vary to some extent, and that is why different extracellular therefore, the extracellular matrix in 4 different tissues, they have different elastic stiffness property. And this extracellular matrix provide lot of structural support to the cells that this particular tissue contains. For example, in the connective tissue, you have fibroblast cells. One of the example I have given while discussing the cell migration, and if you remember that in cell migration I said that typically fibroblast cells, they kind of walk or they migrate with a speed of typically 20 to 30 micron per hour. Also, in the bone tissue, you have another type of cells, that is called osteoblast cells. So, osteo means bone, osteoblast means bone forming cells, or you have third type of cells, osteoclast cells, that is the bone resorption cells, and also you have osteocytes which are like matured osteoblast cells. So, this is little bit this is all about the connective tissue. Then third classification is muscular tissue, essentially muscle cells. Now, examples of the muscle cells are the myoblast cells. So, this is one of the type of cells that are abundant in the muscle tissue, and this is that one of the properties of the myoblast cells is that they are essentially they have the characteristic contractility property, and therefore, this tissue essentially have a very active contractile nature, and it also produces force and causes motion during locomotion or movement within internal organs. So, there are three types of muscle tissues you have in your body. One is the skeletal muscle tissue, second one is the cardiac, and third one is the smooth muscle tissue. So, therefore, in the development of any materials for cardiac tissue or any biomaterials to show whether these particular materials can support the growth of the cardiac cells, often people use both the cardiac cells like cardiomyocytes, along with that they also use that muscle tissue cells like myoblast cells. Fourth one is the nervous tissue that provides control of all the activities that your body is supposed to perform, and that is from nervous organs, and you have the brain and spinal cord at the most prominent example of the nervous tissue. So, in your body you have what is called CNS, central nervous system, and you have PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. So, central nervous system you have the neural tissue forms the brain and spinal cord, or the peripheral nervous systems essentially you have the nerves and some of the cranial nerves and spinal nerves are there. And many times when during an injury or during any operation some part of the peripheral nervous system is injured or cut, one can replace with certain biomaterials and then what they call nerve conduits, and these nerve conduits are the one of the clinically relevant solution. This is little bit about their histology sections of these tissues. This is the connective tissue. You can see the cells are well separated physically, and they are like, you can see this fibrous nature. These are collagen fibers in the extracellular matrix. Examples are the bone and tendon. Epithelial tissue, you can see in these histology sections, these cells are very closely spaced, lined up one against another, and this is the characteristic of the epithelial tissue. This is there in the skin surface as well as the many lining of the several hollow organs. Third one is the muscle tissue. These three examples we have mentioned just in the last slide, and you can very well see that muscle tissue has also very specific features, and most of these features are kind of myotubes, which is forms as a result of fusion of the several muscle cells which are lined up against one another, and then they form these myotubes. Fourth one is the nervous tissue. This is the histology sections of the nervous tissue, and nervous tissue also has a very characteristic structure which is strikingly different from other three tissue structure. So, this is a very long elongated neuron structure, and then they are contained in brain, spinal cord and nerves. So, these structures, this is the four tissue structures, and this is also one of the important slide just to get you familiarized with these numbers. For example, you have ligands in a protein structure. These ligands typically has a length scale somewhere between 4 to 5 nanometer. You have a protein structure which is like less than 10 nanometer. You have viruses, you have the bacteria like somewhere between 1 to 2 micron, mitochondria, that is a powerhouse of the cells, and there this mitochondria structure is somewhere 1 micron. You have plant cells, and then you have animal cells. These plant cells and animal cells, they somewhere vary between 20 to 30 micrometer. You have human egg, you have frog egg, and then you have a chicken egg. So, these are like larger size, and you have a human one of the human, and then there this length of this somewhere between like 1 meter and above. So, this is a large length scale that we deal in the biological systems, and this biological system contains starting from ligands, proteins to cells, bacteria and so on and so forth. Now, let us focus our discussion more on the bone structure. So, now that we have revisited the different tissue types and then how their structures are different, let me focus the rest of the discussion on the structure of this one of the hard tissue, that is the bone. So, to start with, one has to know that natural bone is a classical example of a polymer ceramic based biocomposite, and where collagen is the example of the polymers that it contains and hydroxyapatite is the ceramic. Now, therefore, you will also discuss about the structure of collagen in the bone. So, as I said, natural bone, so polymer ceramic nanobiocomposite. Why we say this bone as a polymer ceramic nanobiocomposite? Because polymer is represented by collagen here, ceramic is represented by calcium phosphate, why it is nano? Because calcium phosphate has a size, the length scale is 5 to 8 nanometer. Collagen also at the structurally level, it is one of the protein molecule, it is proteins, and then it has a triple helix structure, and this triple helix structure I will describe you later, and this also has a almost like nanoscale, or this has also has a nanoscale dimension. Why biocomposite? Because it has a biological constituent, natural biological constituent, that is polymer collagen. Nano, because constituents have a nanoscale size, and it also called hybrid composite. Why hybrid composite? Because two different type of constituents, that is one is that collagen and another hydroxyapatite, they are contained in the bone structure. Okay. So, this is that hierarchical structure description of a cortical bone. You have a two type of structure in the bone. One is cortical bone, which is more mechanically stiffer and stronger structure, and you have a cancellous bone, which is essentially very spongy type of structure. So, this is the example of a long bone structure. You can see that it has a very irregular shape. Now, if you take a section from this long bone structure, and then in this section you will see there are a lot of canals here. You see this lot of canals. So, these canals are essentially osteons, and these osteons, they have certain concentric circles, and this length scale here is somewhere between 100 to 150 nanometer. Now, now you can focus that how these individual canals they are built up. So, this is our individual canals, it is shown is like a cylindrical shaped object. Now, this object, if you focus more, then you will see that it individually they are built up of the collagen fibers, and these collagen fibers, they are the hydroxyapatite nanoplatelets, they are like a dispersed in between the collagen fibers, or in other words, this collagen fiber in the hydroxyapatite nanoplatelets, they are being sandwiched between different collagen bundles along the particular direction, that is the C axis. So, it has a specific orientation of the hydroxyapatite nanoplatelets, and these hydroxyapatite nanoplatelets are not oriented in a or not dispersed in a very random manner in that bone matrix. However, they are oriented or they are being sandwiched in between these collagen fibers. Third thing that you must notice, then this cortical bone, although it is mechanically very stronger compared to collagen cancellous bone, it also nevertheless it also have certain porosity. So, it is not a extremely dense structure, but it is slightly porous structure. It is a hybrid structure because it contains both polymer as well as the ceramic structure. Some more details are shown here, like 30 to 50 nanometer. I mean, this size varies, but many people they have mentioned in the book is that 5 to 8 nanometer is the size and 2 nanometer is the thickness, that is in the other direction, that is the platelet, that third direction is 2 nanometer. Okay. Now, hydroxyapatite, they also, if you are from material science background, hydroxyapatite they can exist in hexagonal structure, hydroxyapatite also exists in monoclinic structure. So, these are the two possible structure of hydroxyapatite. Now, hydroxyapatite has a stoichiometric composition of Ca10, PO4 whole 6, OH whole 2, but this is a stoichiometric composition, but the bone contains largely non-stoichiometric hydroxyapatite. So, it is better to describe the inorganic composition of the bone is like some non-stoichiometric structure. So, essentially it has some Ca10 minus X and then PO4 whole 6 and then some OH 2 or OH 2 plus X or something. So, it is essentially non-stoichiometric structure of hydroxyapatite. So, this is the structure that I was mentioning you in the last slide to some extent. This is much more very clear and much more specific structure description. So, what you see here, this is your osteon and these osteon are lifted up just for the illustration purpose or just to show that how it grows along the long axis of the bone. And these osteons you can see very closely, if you see, then it also contains osteocytes. You remember osteocytes are the matured osteoblast cells. So, you have the stem cells. So, if you have that mesenchymal stem cells, then it go in the osteogenic lineage, and in the osteogenic lineage it first forms pre-osteoblast, then it forms osteoblast. So, once you have that osteoblast, after that the terminal member of this osteogenic lineage is osteocytes. So, this is the more matured bone cells which are contained in this osteon. You also notice that there are some canaliculi here and certain lamellae. The periosteum is also there in the bone structure. Periosteum means outer cover of the bone, just like when you wear shirt and then shirt has certain collar or that in around your hand. So, this bone also has a kind of outer cover which is called periosteum, and you have large number of osteon. This is like n number of osteon are present in the bone structure. Internal structure of the bone, if you see, this is more like a spongy structure. You see there is a large sponge. So, this kind of porous structure makes the bone essentially, internal structure of the bone or cancellous structure of the bone essentially weak mechanically. Outer structure of the bone, although there are some porosity present as I mentioned in the last slide, but also it is much denser than the more spongy structure. And you also see there are Haversian canals and Volkmann's canals. Now, these canals many times are named after some of the scientists who first discovered these canals, and these based on that scientist name, some of the canals are called Volkmann's canal or the Haversian canal. The general role of these canals is to transport oxygen, blood and food to the cells which it contains, and also helps to take these different waste products out from the cellular complexes. So, little bit on the numbers while describing the various levels of a bone structure. So, as I said in last two slides that you have a collagen fibers. These collagen fibers are very nicely oriented in the bone structure. and you have a hydroxyapatite crystals also perfectly oriented along the C axis of the bone. And these hydroxyapatite platelets or crystals, if you look at, then you can see around 1 to 2 nanometer is their thickness of these platelets, and these collagen fibrils along with the hydroxy with these kind of aggregates, they form the osteon, and these osteons are typically 100 to 500 nanometer, and these individual osteons, it is one of the major structural unit of the bone structure. So, at that very micro scale, the osteons are the structural unit of this bone structure. When I said that bone is a nano biocomposite, now I may like to emphasize once more that why it is called nano biocomposite. Bio because it has collagen, nano because it has nanoscale collagenous features. This is a very characteristic double triple helix structure. You have earlier seen double helix structure of a DNA. Similarly, triple helix structure of the collagen is also very famous in the cell biology. The other things that you notice, this is this dimension, this width of this collagen, this is of the order of 1.5 nanometer. This 1.5 nanometer individual collagen fibril, but when it makes this collagen when it makes this bundle, then the length of the bundle can be somewhere between 200 300 nanometer, but the width of the bundle cannot exceed more than 100 nanometers. So, this individual bundle which along with that hydroxyapatite nanocrystals make this bone structure to be called as nanobiocomposite. Okay. Now, as I said that collagen has a typical triple helix structure. Now, if you recall that typical protein structure, it has a very characteristic helical structure, and this helix it has a 5 turns. This total length scale of this helical structure is somewhere in 27 Armstrong, meaning that each turn has around 5.4 Armstrong. So, this is extremely small. This angle of this bending, it is around less than 30 degree, and therefore, from simple geometry it is coming out to be roughly around 5 Armstrong. Now, when it comes to that in case of the collagen, what you notice here, so collagen has a triple helix structure. So, you have a N terminal here like a protein, and you have a C terminal on the right hand side. So, this structure then it goes up to this typical along this one x direction, it has a 300 nanometer in length, that initially that collagen molecule which is a triple helix structure, it has a width of 1.5 nanometer. At least 2, 3, 5 micro collagen molecule they comes together, then they form what they call in cell biology is microfibrils. This microfibril has a dimension or diameter is around 4 nanometer. Now, these microfibrils can form one unit, and several such unit can be bound to each other by the weak hydrogen bonding. In the cell biology literature or book, whenever you see dotted bonds, it always represents the weaker bonds, either a hydrogen bond or van der Waals type of bonds. And then after this lateral aggregation, there is also end to end aggregation is possible, like this individual unit can become one unit here, and similar another unit also can come here, and then there will be then again some dotted bonds. This is the end to end bonding. This entire structure then forms a large tube like structure, and this you call is a collagen fiber. These collagen fibers are present in abundance in extracellular matrix, as I said before. Along with collagen fibers, you have elastin, that is the second one. So, both collagen fibers and elastin, in view of their characteristic structure, they provide certain mechanical support to this or structural support to the cells in the extracellular matrix. So, whenever you see that there is any fiber kind of a structure, normally they represent little bit robust structure compared to individual molecular level structure or fibrillar kind of a structure. This is how these collagen fibers, they are actually contained in a bone structure, and these unit fibrils, they have a dimension 800 to 1000 Armstrong, and this is essentially this individual things is like 1.4 Armstrong, 1.4 micrometer. This is a 2D section of a compact bone, and again you can see this is a osteon structure, this is 2 osteons, they are not closely spaced, but they are separated physically, and there are several other structural elements which I have also mentioned in this earlier. So, this is all about the bone structure, and then we will start with this bone composition and also the different types of natural bone in the next module.